All right, so we're going to talk about real quickly the diesel mechanics reasons for not making more money. I've said them all. I've heard them all. So you got to remember when I'm telling you guys about what I'm saying. My history is I worked and then I operated a business, and the problem that I ran into was that a lot of people didn't understand the difference between technicians and mechanics. Really, that's what it boils down to. We're going to expound upon that because I'm going to give you some itemized things that I'm sure will resonate well with everybody there, because these are things we all endure and have to deal with, and we all find in common, but we don't really talk about as much. And so here we go. So no one is giving directions to the younger guys from management, and because what you don't understand is that the business model of a shop is to pay it the least and make the amount of profit, the greatest amount of profit. So that is the business. The more profit, the better. The less expense, the better. That means less pay of you, the better. That means people aren't going to bring you in and tell you every time, hey, this is what you're going to have to do to make that top dollar. If everybody made top dollar, their business it wouldn't make sense, because people would be paid so well for doing oil changes. You see, there would be an offset. So there's skill levels for a reason, and pay scale is to represent a skill level. So it's gatekeeping from senior techs. So I'm going to tell you guys a great story. Okay, so I started out at the Sacramento Truck Center as a utility mechanic, not a journeyman, and I was green, man. I even left the Marine Corps, and I was still green after 5 years. So I went up to a guy, his name was Mario Correa, and I asked him, I said, Mario, you're one of the senior techs here. That was the guy who walked in and just told him, this is what you're going to pay me. And he got exactly what he wanted because he knew his worth. And he was making as much as the foreman at that time. And this can all be said now, many, many years later, right? But that was never something that happened inside of shops where you'd have a mechanic making what foreman make. Now, what was it about Mario that impressed me so much? He worked hard. It was sweat and labor every day. And what he didn't know, he knew damn near everything, but I mean, he filled in the gaps with his ability to figure out problems. But he learned from somebody in Mexico, in Michoacan, where the guy was a very adept technician who showed him how to use a lot of measurement devices and things he never would have had the chance to have available had that guy not showed him. So the story goes like this. I walk over to Mario one day and I said, Mario, what's it going to take for you to teach me anything that you know, bro? And he goes, you want to learn? And I said, you bet, man. I said, I'll go punch off the clock. I'll take my lunch. I'll watch you, and I'll be a good student. I will learn, and you won't get any kind of, big-headedness out of me. And he was like, okay. And it took like a month or two, and he came up to me and said, hey, bro, I'm doing an injector on a Series 60. Do you want to see how? And when he showed me how, he took the time to show me everything. He took the time to show me that you don't need an injector height tool if you have a caliper, right? Because you can use the bottom of the gauge to measure depth, so long as you know where you're supposed to be measuring from. And so long as you know what the actual tool looks like. And so the workarounds, but he also showed me how to use the tools. And before long, I was tearing down, I think it was a C12 or 13, and I was doing the whole entire gear train in the front of it. And somebody was kind of just felt like I had the confidence it took and the ability to read the manuals to let me have those chances. But so most people aren't going to let you go and shit the bed on a big ass job, right? So you get the smaller ticket jobs with the smaller level of competency. So the senior techs who are willing to share really do enable all the younger guys. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing, because somebody did reach out to me. People always see self-taught, but I mean, there's only so much you can make the claim of self-taught, right? Somebody did give you their time, and that's what I'm trying to do here. So as far as gatekeeping, we've covered that. So workmanship. So another thing I just want to mention, those guys are never going to share with you unless you have the right approach, and they don't owe you. So if you want it from them, be kind. You don't owe them food per se, or treats, but maybe it doesn't hurt. Maybe it's just a way of paying your dues in the blue collar way of showing a little bit of respect to the senior man. Now, I don't want people bringing me in breakfast that they work for me. No, there's no apple for the teacher, right? But I guess the sentiment is show respect, and you can get a lot from people. Show like that you are entitled to something, and most people will show you that you are not, in fact, and they don't have to share with you anything. So slow. We call him the milkman, right? He's over there milking that job, just taking forever. And he knows he could do it faster, but he doesn't want to. There are some scenarios where that's okay. Few. Where some bosses will tell you, hey, I don't have any more work for you. cover your hours for the day, and that way, and that's like not a flat rate shop though, right? That's an hourly rate. Work versus build. If you're not making, if you say, if I work for an hour, I need to bill the hour. If I work for 5 hours and I can only bill one, then right, I've dropped quite a bit in my percentage points of work versus build. A dealership or somebody who's going to pay you a really good wage is going to expect 82 to 87% is about the sweet spot for the business to still be profitable. Believe it or not, at that point, it degrades a lot whether or not it makes any profit. And what you'll find too about dealerships is dealerships were always there to support the product that they were selling for the open road. They were a service support. So they have to have certified technicians in certain areas to be able to do that work through the warranty, even if they're franchised. They are beholden to the bigger company that tells them how they're going to distribute their product. And the biggest thing about service is it's not the biggest breadwinner, and it shouldn't be. It should go sales, parts, service. We all know parts in the markup, but they're brand name and they're usually good to stand behind. You won't find the kind of quality usually in the aftermarket world. You just won't. You're going to pay the cost for Ford parts, but I wouldn't put anything but Ford parts on a Ford, to be honest with you. And that doesn't mean there isn't some success to be had otherwise, but how many times do you want to redo a job? It's that simple. I want to tear something down and be done with it once and let it run for 1 million miles while everyone talks about how good it ran at every truck stop. I don't want to be the guy who got him 10,000 miles and all of a sudden, because you didn't check liner protrusion, right? You didn't make sure that everything was in spec and not just next to each other or corner to corner, but end to end. I see people all the time taking wrong measurements about how before you set a head down, each one of those liners can only project or protrude from the block so much. And if they don't, you'll never seal a head gasket on there. And I see guys that won't even check that and couldn't tell you what the measurement is doing in-frame overhauls inside of shops. So I guess you don't know what you don't know. But the smart guy knows where the answer is, right? So, and that's another thing I wanted to mention about senior techs. If you go to them, instead of saying, can you show me how? Meaning, can you punch out or get off your job and help me to survive? Instead, ask him, hey, where would I find the answer for this? Can you direct me to where the resource is? Try your best to understand it. Show him that you've put your own due diligence in, and he might be like, yeah, dude, I get you. So what they're saying is this, and what he's teaching you to do is fish on your own. And that is real empowerment. And most older men understand there is no empowerment unless you can fish on your own. If you're always sitting there going like a baby bird for people to give you things, they're not going to want to continue to feed you forever. They have their own responsibilities in the real world, right? So, but how do you go about it? Humbly, as a student. And good students usually find good teachers. So the other work, so not enough tools to take the big tickets. That's a fact. And if you think, it doesn't matter that your tools are whatever quality, but you have to have the array of tools it takes to remove and replace or, do the diagnostics on these jobs. And if you don't, you have to go borrow a tool. You don't need to take the ticket. It's not your job yet. You don't rate that job yet. And I don't mean that in a mean way. What I'm saying is build up your tools. Get the right tools. Don't have a tool bill for an Impact that you bought that was $800 as your first tool. But go to Harbor Freight and spend the $800 on a bunch of hand tools, 3/8, quarter-inch set. You can get a lot of stuff. And when I first started at the Sacramento Truck Center, that's precisely what I did. I went to Harbor Freight, I got a Craftsman box, and I built the tools a little bit at a time. And I would ask guys, hey, bro, I'm going out to the Snap-on truck. What should I get? And a guy would say to me, oh, man, a guy named Jeremy Rosenbach in particular was a really nice guy at the Sacramento Truck Center. And I would ask him to borrow tools from time to time. I stepped out of frame because I'm trying to grab the tool and show it to you. It's the same one that I bought 22 years ago. It's a Snap-on pick. Very versatile tool. Taking charge of your cooler boots, super important. If it gets too big of a crook in there, you're going to poke holes. These are quality tools, and this tool I've had for 20-something years, but I asked the guy, hey, what should I buy? I don't have a lot of stuff, and he goes, buy one of these. And the reason I bought this one, and the reason that it's very slightly deformed, I've used this for so long and never had to warranty it, because the steel is superior steel. If you go using these kinds of things to pry and bend and they're right, it's like just pot iron or shit steel, they're not going to last. And then you're going to be poking holes in charger coolers. Now, I did also get the longer one from Matco. Do I have 50 picks? No. I have these 2 long picks, all right, for taking hoses loose essentially. And then I've got an array of small picks for doing O-ring work and cleaning little crevices. And yes, I've got 2 or 3 picks in one bag. But I didn't spend $250 on the master pick set that's going to take up a lot of real estate in that multi-$1,000 toolbox. calculate your next move and think, do I really need this or do I want this? Let me put it back. Let me grab what I need. And then when I want that, it won't hurt at all because I'll be making the money it takes to buy that thing. Don't get caught up in trying to flash what you have to the other guys, because really they are laughing at you in their heart, because, and maybe they're not, but maybe they're thinking, as they've gotten older, I wish somebody would have given me this information. Maybe they won't tell you because they don't want to sound like they made a mistake themselves. But the truth is, I'm not afraid to share my mistakes with the rest of the people who are coming up, so that hopefully your next generation bites into this trade, and that we see that we don't collapse as a society because we can't move freight. You know, this is it's a big deal. 7th largest economic indicator if you get into trucking. You got a job for a long time. You have to stay up with the tech. So not enough knowledge to take the big jobs. That's the other thing, and I'm going to end with that. And I really appreciate all the time you guys have given me in watching these videos. And I really hope you understand there's no hook at the end of anything. I have to be a businessman and do things, and I decided to just video more of the work I do, so hopefully that helps you. Not all customers are okay with that, and I'm not really okay with it myself, because I feel like I can't bill them for that time. But if it's something you guys like and you're liking and subscribing and building this channel, then I feel like it's worth it to give it to you. But without the likes and subscribes or even just comments, I don't know. And the analytics really, I mean, they're good, but it's for a very limited group. And I think that if you guys were sharing instead of just liking or subscribing, other people would see, hey, there's an end to the tunnel, and really it's in doing something that makes you, that's highly sought after, like the specialist work here, or diesel diagnostician. People who are problem solvers are of high value. There's a lot of good problem solving going on inside the mechanic fields of cars and other. You guys are very valuable guys, and I'm sure the diesel trade would love to have you. But anyone who comes to the industry has to provide value, and anyone comes anywhere has to. A lot of times nowadays, people are fake value, and that's why everyone doesn't have much faith or believe in anyone else. But there are a lot of people out there who are willing to give value out to people for nothing more than just the sake of it improving the lives of others around them. And I hope you know I'm one of them, and I hope you continue to watch this channel. Thank you, guys.